of all these different sports and all these millionaires and billionaires and all these successful entrepreneurs, and they said, what is the one word that you can use to define how you got to this moment that sets you apart? And guess what that word was, B Squared? That word was focus. And when I think of focus, I think of these two particular players. They're able to drown out all the noise. They're able to lock in, and they're able to be laser focused on this stage. They're not going to sweat, and I think they're going to get it done. What do you think, B Squared?
I am so excited for this matchup. We've got two Titans in the community. As you mentioned, I just want to repeat, Ed, first seed, going 5-0 yesterday. 5 rounds, and he was done, locked in, went home, said, this is all I needed. DKP only needed 6, going 5-1 before going home as well. We got the first and third seed here. I couldn't be more excited. That's right. Let's get some hype for these players.
And you can hear that now. Yesterday, it was a completely different vibe. There was a completely empty auditorium. The players were playing. It was a lot of stress. But now all the friends and families and all the guests are in the facility right now cheering on these two Illuminaires, and the attitude and the energy is electric in the facility. This is the Disney Lorcana World Championship. Look at that beautiful golden
Look at the shiny trophy, the shiny Mickey.
Oh, my goodness.
Right there on the table. Staring them in the face.
And they both want it. And it's going to be, you may never get this close again. I mean, you're sitting there, you're inches away from destiny, you're inches away from glory, because this is it.
It is literally within grasp.
Yeah, it is so close, man. Victory is but the players are so lighthearted about it. It's like they're just sitting at a local league night playing, laughing.
I love seeing the smiles and the laughs from both these players. Something that I feel like summarizes this weekend is how great the sportsmanship has been between the players. There's been heartbreak, there's been victories, there's been cheering, there's been crying. We're finally here at the finals, and I'm excited to get into this. The players are going to have a little bit of time to look over their 3 decks, because remember, for the entirety of the tournament, we've been playing constructed. One of these have been able to be benched, but if you want to be the best in the world, you have to win with everything. All 6 inks, no stone will be left unturned, so these players are going to take some time, look through the deck list, memorize the opponent's cards before they decide which deck they will use for their first game.
Absolutely. And another storyline that kind of came up to this event, a lot of reasons why people may not have believed in Ed Chu as much as I did, because that's my pick.
That is your pick. That is your pick.
That's my pick right there. I know what the big dog can do, and he's getting it done right here, heart of a champion. Another storyline is, hey, DKP can only do this. Ed can only do that. They're gonna be hampered by this triple deck format, because he's only Ruby Amethyst and he's only Ruby Sapphire. But guess what? Not anymore. They have definitely proven that they are indeed a master of all these inks to get to this coveted position. They made it through the triple deck format. They made it through the super seal. They built the decks and they got it done. And look at this at the finals, B Squared. Whew, man, I'm ready.
Not only that, it's a battle across the ponds. We have Ed representing North America and DKP representing Europe. So two of them head-to-head here in the finals. And I would just want to keep talking about what you mentioned with both of these players being known for particular decks. Ed, at all the events he's gone to, he's primarily played Ruby Amethyst. People thought he was a Ruby Amethyst one trick. He knows the deck, he comes in, he dominates, and he walks away. Same thing with DKP. Every event he goes to, he plays Ruby Sapphire, he dominates, he walks away. But that didn't stop these guys. DKP, of course, is playing Ruby Sapphire in his trio of decks. Ed deciding not to. Ed deciding to go a little bit different. He's not playing the Ruby Amethyst lineup, opting for a different trio.
That is absolutely correct, and I was surprised and shocked to see that, but you had to kind of mix it up. You have to keep the people off balance of what you're going to do, as they are still trying to just discuss those deck lists, maybe kind of getting a little last-minute lines of play figured out. I'm certain that they've ran the simulations and kind of gone through the lines already. They know what's going to happen, as DKP is just doing a final check. Man, what would you be thinking right now? How would you be feeling if you were in this situation?
I would want to be as focused as possible. As you mentioned, both of these players are great at doing this. They are not, they're used to being in these final games, in these final stages. Both players having won challenges, DKP having won the Melbourne Challenge, Ed having won the Dallas-Fort Worth Challenge, also the North American Continental Champion. So this is not unfamiliar territory for them, and
they've been there before.
They've been here before.
Look at the composure. There's no freaking out. There's nobody getting upset. There's nobody, panicking. There's no legs shaking. I think the players know what's going on. We're going to see.
Oh, okay.
Look at that. No surprise. DKP leading off with the patent pending Ruby and Sapphire, while Edmond Chu is going to be starting off with the Emerald and Amethyst. I love that. What do you think about this matchup?
I am excited to see DKP pulling out the stuff that he's used to, the Ruby Sapphire. He's saying, let's get this out of the way. I know this deck in and out. I know all of the matchups. I'm sure that he does. Ed coming in with Amethyst Emerald. We've seen him pilot this weekend and do it well. So I'm very excited for this. I need to take a look at Ed's list real quick.
Okay, so while they're doing that, the shuffling up, the players are getting ready. Edmond is going to be on the Emerald and Amethyst. It is more of the tempo version, not a lot of discard cards in the deck. You do have those Ursulas in the build, the Cricky, but there's not a lot of the Sudden Chill Prince John package or the Shift Diablo, more of the tempo variety, while the Shark Burn deck, a lot of people collectively call it the DKP special.
Exactly.
You know, the DKP deck. When you know you're really, really a talented player, you get your own signature deck. So
it's named after you.
Yeah, of course, I would be very disappointed if he didn't bring that strategy to this event.
Yeah, and we will get to see him play out this strategy. We've seen him play this deck already today numerous times, and like you mentioned, it uses the Maui Half Shark along with some items, some locations. We've seen McDuck Manor do some damage earlier in the day as well. So it looks like the players are getting pretty close to finishing shuffling up. We will soon get into their altar phase, where if anybody might be joining and unfamiliar with the Disney Lorcana rules, or at least how the game starts, both players, after shuffling their decks, allow each other to cut their decks, which is just what we see DKP doing here, and then they draw 7 cards. Look at those. They can put back any that they want to, and then fill their hand back up to 7 before we start the game.
Absolutely, but it looks like it is time. So if you're busy, you know what I'm saying, you don't have your beverage, you get back in, you put your seat back up. It is time to begin. This is the grand finals. This is Edmond versus DKP. This is the Disney Lorcana World Champion. We will get it solved right now. Let's lock in. It is time to begin as the altar phases are taking place. No, there is a Diablo.
Yeah, it looks like there's a Diablo in Ed's list. I was looking at DKP's hand real quick too. You know, something that I've heard Ed talk about when it comes to altering is, as the player going second, which is DKP in this scenario, you don't have to alter until your opponent does. So I think DKP was waiting until Ed did his alter before he decided to do his. I didn't quite catch what they put away. They were moving pretty quick with the hands here, but they went ahead and chose their altars. They're shuffling up. And in moments, we will start the grand finals of the very first Disney Lorcana World Championship.
I am ready. I've been buzzing. I probably slept a grand total of 6 minutes this entire weekend. I've been so excited. We're in Disney World, for crying out loud. This is the most magical place on Earth for a reason, and I'm playing the most magical game in the entire world as well. And this entire time has all come down to this, and I can't tell you, I've been absolutely buzzing for the past 2 days.
It's all come down to this, and here we go, the very first start of the Disney Lorcana World Championship.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. And it looks like Edmond obviously going to be on the play. Cool as a cucumber. Look at him. Look at him go. I'd be panicking right now. Maybe he's internally panicking. Maybe he can channel that energy as we do have that Diablo on 1. Maybe he has a shift in hand as well. Maybe he can get some value out of that thing before. And we will start with the Devoted Herald or the Maleficent Spy.
Yeah, we're going to get a look at DKP's hand with the Diablo, its ability. Ed just looking at DKP's hand, memorizing it, so we know what we're working with.
Okay, I did see we got the Vision of the Future. Was there a 2-cost ramp in there? There is no ramp.
I didn't see any ramp.
There is no ramp, and you do not have it right now. Maybe this popsicle will give it to you, and it does not.
No, we see Grandma Tala.
That is Grandma Tala. So this deck is very consistent at finding that 2-cost ramp, but it looks like you did not. You have a ton of sharks in your hand, as we will go ahead and shift that Diablo almost immediately into a Sing of a Friend on the other side. Look at that. Diablo is exerted now, so he come on in and gain that additional card next turn.
Yeah, another notable thing about DKP's hand right now, we don't have an immediate answer to this Diablo. DKP only running 2 brawls, which is usually the answer that we see to a Diablo. Ed being able to go first means this Diablo is going to get a lot of value for every time the Diablo is exerted. On your opponent's turn, when they draw a card, you draw a card. Ruby Sapphire loves to draw cards. You saw it with the popsicle there. So DKP is missing his turn to ramp, but we're going to Visions of the Future. Look at the top 5 cards of our deck, see what we like, and pull it back to our hand. Granted, Ed will not draw off the Diablo for this because it is not a draw trigger. You just get to choose the card off the top 5. But we'll see what
And it looks like
DKP.
he's stumbling up to hang on to that hideaway for a time, potentially trying to set up for the remainder of the end game. You got to sing another phrase on the other side. That is just punishing. Double Diablo, double sing, gaining infinite resources, it seems, as this is an incredible start coming in from the North American Continental Champion, as we will go ahead and take another turn off to get the pull the lever. That is so
Ed drawing
many
so
cards.
many cards. Ed understanding the importance of having cards in hand is because he knows that Den is trying to go to the late game with this Ruby Sapphire list. You want to have as many resources in hand as possible. The more cards in hand, the more ways you have to respond. DKP going to start with the develop your brain. Look at the top 2 cards. Pick one, put the other on the bottom. We're going to keep a Hades Infernal Schemer in hand.
Yeah, but still no acceleration. He has not ramped. He's going to have to force to make the
he's choosing the hideaway to ramp the popsicle.
For sure, but that is a painful line of play that you just really don't want to make more often than not. It will be that acceleration that you need to get to the advanced stages of the game, but it comes at a significant cost. You're going to have to place, basically waste your entire turn and remove that very valuable popsicle to the inkwell, which you need for that Happy as a Clam.
Yeah, Ed going really fast here, just playing a genie, passing. DKP is playing How Far I'll Go, taking a card from the top 2 in the deck, putting the other in the inkwell.
And that does represent another piece of acceleration. So now you will be able to get that Maui Half Shark established onto the field of play to slow Ed down. But look at that hand. He's holding an entire catalog, it seems like, as his hand is fully expanded. I believe that's 8 characters. And we're going to continue to draw.
Another pull the lever. We're going to draw 2 cards on Ed's turn. That's the first thing we're going to start with. Ed having just a ton of cards in hand, preparing for the onslaught that's coming with DKP, knowing that a lot of these cards are going to be removed at some point as he continues to build up his inkwell.
We'll go ahead and prepare to, before we pass over, just checking, making sure you don't have any other characters they could send to the field of play. Looking at your entire magazine you have of cards right now, thinking about putting that cricket down to the inkwell. You do have a Diablo that you can use your remaining ink. Do you have a 2-cost character or action that you can play?
I think Ed's holding on to like 10 cards right now.
Yeah.
We're going to play this Diablo Obedient Raven.
And just like you said, only 2 brawls right now. That is going to be probably the story of this build, of this deck, because a lot of people really haven't been worried about Diablo too much because he's been typically found in Emerald and Steel, and that deck has been banned for throughout a lot of this tournament. But only having 2 brawls in this Diablo is kind of running away with this game a little bit.
I mean, something else to notice, we only have 2 Sisu-empowered siblings as well. We are running 3 Be Prepareds, but Ed is on the 4 Ursula Deceivers as well. So if he can sniff out one of those Be Prepares, he might be able to time it at the right time and get it out of DKP's hands as he's searching for it to stabilize.
But some good news for DKP. His hand is also quite healthy. Typically at this point in the game, you will kind of start to struggle with your resources, but he hasn't been able to really do much of anything at this point. Just the way the cards have kind of came about for DKP. He's a champion, though, so he can kind of power through these things. I've seen him. He's like a wizard as well. He's kind of achieved victory in some very precarious positions. So he's never going to give up. He's always going to play it all the way through, but this is definitely not the ideal start coming in from the Australian champion.
DKP playing Visions of the Future into a Develop Your Brain, just cycling through as many cards in his deck as possible. He knows exactly what he needs and what he's looking for, trying to look for answers to catch up, gain control of this board from Edmond Shu. We are going to go ahead and brawl the Diablo.
And he does find the brawl, and he hits that Diablo. If you're thinking about it here,
maybe the Genie. Maybe.
Yeah, Genie is a significant lore threat in this situation, and you already got a billion cards in hand. What's a billion and one is probably what DKP was going through DKP's mind, because you're probably never going to catch up in this resource race right now. But getting that Diablo off the field proves to be the correct choice. Hand is expanding ever more as we still sit in that final.
Diablo off the top there. The shift one, I have another Genie we pull to the front as well. We might see Edmond play just cards that continue to replace themselves, keeping his hand healthy so that every time DKP banishes one of Ed's cards, he's able to replace it, or it's been replaced already. That's his 3rd pull the lever that we're playing, drawing 2 cards again.
And it's all about the pressure. I mean, you can either pressure through the board, but you can also pressure through just out-resourcing your opponent. As you know, this Shark deck, or this DKP Shark Special, as I like to call it, it clears the board quite consistently in those games. But if you can just continue to keep rebuilding the board, eventually you can just out-resource this deck. That is one of the weaknesses that that this deck does have. So still 3 characters on the board, electing not to commit more resources to the field of play. Yeah. Just trying to play that resource game. I like the strategy coming in from Ed.
I don't want to overextend. DKP's already at that ink total where we could see something like a Sisu or a Be Prepared being played. So don't overextend and have more cards banished than you need. We're going to start with a Sail the Azurite Sea for DKP. Draw a card that allows us to ink an extra time for this turn.
And we still haven't put the shark into the field. Maybe you're trying to save that shark until you can get some manner set up potentially, or maybe be able to play. Maybe trying to play around a potential Elsa the Fifth Spirit, then come down and exert that shark before he's able to do mass damage. As the double ink is going to be the Tamatoa and the Maui, and the Hades is going to come on in and send that genie down to the inkwell.
Hades Infernal Schemer removing that genie. DKP doing what he can to just keep Ed off of Lore on board. Ed already up to 11. DKP still at 0. We're going to see another genie come down for Ed. It just keeps coming.
Another one. Another genie is onto the board.
Birds and genies, that's all this is.
Birds and genies everywhere. Look at that. And we did get a sneak peek of the hand, the quick flash from DKP as the resources are dwindling while Ed still seems to be expanding. A huge quest coming in. Not afraid of this Hades the Infernal Schemer because he's challenging and not questing. You're feeling great about that. 15 is the lore total coming in from the North American champion.
Yeah, DKP needs a board wipe here. Ed already threatening win on board with the characters in play. Of course, Hades can challenge something. We're going to put out another Diablo just so that if this Hades does challenge the exerted Diablo Obedient Raven, we still are presenting win on board. We're going to look at this how far I'll go, see what we can find. It's a McDuck Manor.
Is Pirate's Life good enough? Pirate's Life may be good enough to slow down a little bit.
Might save you.
A little bit, but still just might be a bit too slow as DKP looks over, trying to figure out the lines. If there's a path to victory, I'm certain he will be able to find it, but the door is closing. The door is closing quite quickly, as I believe there is going to be a little reset there. I'm not certain what happened, but Genie is now ready. Maybe.
Ed played the Genie this turn.
That's right. That's right.
With him.
Okay. We all miss it. You know, there is so many Genies. We've seen 15 Genies hit the field already.
They start to blend together. We are going to see the Maui Half Shark enter play though.
And then you can sing now. That will be a nice little 5 lore swing. As you'll increase by 3, your opponent will go down. But it looks like Hades might be engaging in a little bit of board fight here. We'll send that Diablo to the discard pile, drawing a card in the process.
And Ed is
there's the Elsa.
Not quite at game on board yet, but quickly approaching. We do see Ed have the Elsa in play in hand, as you mentioned.
And you can engage with this Maui Half Shark right now. Let's see if Ed elects to take that line of play, because you can go Elsa and this Diablo into the Maui Half Shark and then continue to quest with the Genie and the Diablo and other Diablo that's there. And Elsa is going to come on down. Holy, do you have a crab? Is there a crab over there?
That's what I'm wondering. We have so many cards. He's definitely playing crabs. He's got 3 of them in the deck list. He could use it to buff up this Elsa, give her Challenger +3, and it would make a clean trade into the Maui. Or you could use the Evasive Diablo that you have in play as well.
Mm-hmm. I like that play a lot. I think just even those two, because you will lose both. We're going to check the hand, and we hit the Pirate's Life.
Oh, we hit the Pirate's Life, too.
And he knew it was there after playing that Diablo earlier, I believe. And we're going to get a nice little healthy quest in for 4, and the pressure is 17. On DKP now. He's going to have to pull out a miracle, and you are out-resourced, out-flanked, out-maneuvered.
There's the Sisu, finally. He's just going to slam the Sisu, banishing everything on Ed's side of the board. But as we know, Ed has plenty of cards in hand to rebuild.
That was a huge Sisu, though. That is the tide that you need to come back in. You are down pretty bad, but still, it is not out. And you have another Genie. Oh, my goodness. That's the last thing that DKP wanted to see. You do have another Brawl that you can get to. You have more Sisus that you can get to. You have answers to clear this Genie, but I'm certain that's the last card you wanted to see.
Going to see an Iago come down as well, just presenting lore on board, forcing DKP to have answers every turn to the end of the game. Find a McDuck Manor and I think a Maui Shark. He's just going to scoop, and Ed's going to take game 1.
Game number 1 goes to the North American champion, and that will be the end of the Emerald and Amethyst section of this tournament for Edmond Chu. DKP can elect to stick with the Ruby and Sapphire if he so chooses, or he can switch if he wants to. I think he'd go with that Emerald and Amber deck if I'm DKP. What about you?
Yeah, there's an Emerald Amber deck that he can play that's very aggressive, something that would be pretty good on the play, I believe. Could get a game win under your belt because DKP needs it. Ed getting the lead here. I mean, I have to throw this out. If Ed takes DKP down, he will be a Disney Lorcana Challenge champion, the North American Continental champion, and the World champion.
I'm telling you right now, this is the first year of Disney Lorcana, and hopefully this game lasts for another 20, 30, 40, 60, 100 years. We played Disney Lorcana for the rest of eternity, but I'm telling you right now, this may never happen again. I think that is such a feat to be the triple threat, the triple horse winner in the first season, as DKP will elect to stay, as Ed is going to be on the Amber and Steel deck, going to be on the play this time. Amber Steel deck coming in for Ed Chu. It's very aggressive, but DKP had to figure that Ed was going to go to this strategy, electing not to go with the Ruby Sapphire items in the potential Ruby Sapphire actions-based strategy. So that deck typically has a little bit of an unfavorable matchup. So hedging and just trying to take out the Amber and Steel versus the Ruby Sapphire, which is a pretty good matchup for DKP.
Yeah, definitely could be. We're going to see DKP on his bread and butter again. Didn't find his ramp last turn on turn 2. You know, it was a little bit of a rough start for him, so hopefully he can find that on this game.
I would say that went about as bad for DKP in that early game. When you see, listen, I play a lot of this Ruby Sapphire deck. When I see them hide away their own popsicle,
you know it's bad.
I feel confident. I feel a little bit, I'm able to breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
When they're ramping on 2 and they're super goofing and they're doing all the things that they do, I feel that's when I'm starting to be a little afraid. They got the manners, they got the be prepared. He didn't have any of that. So terrible start coming in from DKP, but it is not over. You do have another rep. Let's see if you can prevent that from happening this time.
Yeah, this time DKP will be on the play, as we mentioned earlier, so he will get to go first, and Edmond will go second this round.
For sure. Amber Steel, again, this matchup, I think, but looking at Ed's build, I mean, it is a little bit different. We have some Be Our Guest in there. We have multiple Beast Tragic Hero, which is a deck that you don't typically see played in this Amber Steel, kind of more traditional with a little bit of aggression in there. You don't have all of the hits you come to know and love. It's built a little bit more rigid. You got the Namaris in there, 4 of them. Again, typical Edmond Chu fashion. We see how many, do you see
so
any
many
other?
4 of.
Do you see any other number besides 4?
No, it is a 4 of list, clean all the way through for Ed, and not the typical Amber Steel deck that we usually see. We've seen a lot of like aggro ladies, things like that, and this is a little bit more like just Amber Steel song in a way.
For sure, it's more of a mid-range deck, but you see that vicious stare down coming from the players as they are getting these altar fades. Look at Ed, he is locked in on another level. I love seeing this Illuminator play as we have that beautiful enchanted aerial with the shift aerial as well. I'm looking at that triple beast concoction you have there. How many of those do you keep? None.
Oh, wow, we're sending everything back for Ed. He didn't like that hand at all.
Get it out of here. I'm hyping up the air. I'm hyping up the Sonic Singer. He's like, I don't want anything to do with any of that hand. And we're going to send the farm, as it may be. All right, so the players are engaged. The shuffling is going down. DKP about to do some more surgery.
Moments away from game 2.
I love it.
The grand finals.
Ooh, man. You can feel the tension, too. You can feel the energy. It is electric. I love this, man. I can't get enough.
The stakes are high right now. You know, Ed taking the lead. DKP has to catch up. Of course, Ed will have to win 2 more games still to make it through. And it looks like we're going to start. The fist bump is happening. We'll start with DKP inking a card. We are playing a 1-drop. It looks like a Develop Your Brain. I'm not sure what we pulled out there. It was inking the sail. Makes me believe we probably have ramp in hand if we're inking a sail, or we have really. Okay, there we go. There's the other sail.
I would hope so. Miss ramp once, shame on you. Miss ramp twice, the deck goes into the garbage can. That's my saying. As the 116th Wolf is going to hit the field of play, looking busy. Maybe he has a shift. Is there a shift in hand?
We have the Rhino in hand. I'm not sure. The other Rhino. We're going to ink him out. We have Shark. Play the sail. Draw a card. We can ink another card for turn. T-Po's going to enter the inkwell. Pass. Really good start for DKP. A lot more what we would expect to see out of his deck. And
I like seeing the T-Po go down to the inkwell in favor of the Sail the Ezraite Sea, specifically because you can shift and sing, or maybe even sing to remove that T-Po, and it's just cards in hand. You want to kind of accelerate into the post and the mid and late game. So we have the Ursula Vanessa is up and acting.
Oh, we got a McDuck Manor coming out. This is a little bit of a difficult card for Amber Steel to deal with. Ed is playing for a Long Came Zeus in the deck, which can do 5 damage to locations, but typically these singers, they don't have a lot of strength because of the power that they have in being able to sing songs that are more expensive than they cost. But it does look like we're going to challenge this McDuck Manor with Ursula and with Rhino, inking on Namari and then just passing for the turn.
But Ed does have 4 copies of the Power Hamster and 4 copies of Namari in the deck.
Well, and that's Namari his second McDuck Manor.
But you need to get some of those, get some cards into the discard quickly and get those Namaris in, because that character, a new coming out of Reign of Jafar, Namari will gain an additional strength for every card in your discard pile. So if you can fill your discard pile, you can have a very powerful character that can one-shot these McDuck Manors no problem, as the Power Hamster is going to come on in without a shift.
Just going to play the hamster on its own, deal 2 more damage to the McDuck Manor, putting it to 4. Ed has to take care of these Manors. They're gaining 2 lore each at the start of DKP's turn every turn. We're going to see the Maui come down, rushing into Ursula, banishing her.
This Maui might be problematic because there are not a lot of clean answers to this Power Hamster. Maui is one of those. So now Ed has to be very careful when thinking about exerting this Power Hamster. As we are getting into that critical 5-ink turn, you can bring out the Damari, but unfortunately your discard is not set up quite yet, and she will be a little bit weaker than you need her to be, although she can discard a card, or draw and discard on your turn, which you're going to leave with the Tragic Beast.
Yeah, Ed setting up the Tragic Beast, which will allow him to draw an extra card on his turn if it's left undamaged. We're going to see both Rhinos challenge into that damaged McDuck Manor to banish it finally. And then we pass over to DKP, and the other McDuck Manor will gain 2 lore at the start of the turn as he readies his cards.
But now you're kind of running into a resource situation at these critical turns. Do you challenge into this Rhino, or do you have the Maui come on in and start singing the How Far I'll Go right now just to gain some additional resources? Because right now you have that Tamatoa sitting in hand, no popsicles yet. You have the Hideaway, which I don't think is going to be very good in this matchup. You have the, so you will go ahead and take the turn off to go ahead and sing B-Square.
And we're going to sing, we're going to find another McDuck Manor, which we're going to put in our hand, I believe. Yeah, it's in the back. We're going to play another Maui Hero to All to deal with this Rhino so that we don't have to banish our own Maui from challenging earlier. We knew we had that in hand for DKP previously. And he's going to move it to the McDuck Manor because why not?
I love it. I love it. I think that's a very optimal play. It's probably the best play DKP's made all day. Putting Maui into the Manor will strike fear and panic into most opponents. Maybe not to Ed Chu, but for you watching at home, that is a joke. Moving Maui to the McDuck Manor really doesn't do anything. It's just a way to use your ink, and it's a way to have a little bit of fun too. So I like to see it.
Oh, I do too. You love seeing the players having fun on the table, especially in the grand finals. But we are going to pass it back to Ed over here. I did see an aerial spectacular singer in hand that we had up front. There's the Namari there as well. JD talking about how much it can get a lot of strength by putting, if you have cards in your discard.
Right now, it could potentially get up to 3 if you lead with Namari. Now, it does trigger on when you play it to the board, so you'll be able to draw and discard, set it up, get it up to 3. Maybe you can coerce your opponent to continue to banish some of these other characters, get it a little bit stronger, and then you can have a nice little character that can engage. But we're going to lead with this aerial instead while trading the 1/16th Wolf into that heavily damaged Maui.
Yeah, the Aerial Sonic Warrior, a 3/8 card with 2 lore, I believe, and a really great ability that when you play a song, you can pay some extra ink to deal 3 and excess 3 damage to another character. So it can be a way to remove cards from DKP's side of the board if Edmond is able to play some more songs. But that is another McDuck Manor we're going to see being played by DKP here, and Ed's going to have to find a way to deal with him. And we're moving the Mauis back and forth.
Highlight of the day. And he hits with the Maui.
We see DKP hitting the move there.
That is really, really cool, and that is a lot of fun. So using all of your ink, I think that is a good sign of a high-tempo play. I love that line. You're going to go Maui to Manor, Maui to Manor, Maui to Manor, Maui to Manor, pass. That is probably one of the best plays. DKP is truly on another level.
Yeah, I think that's the most efficient use of his ink for sure on his turn. Only 2 cards in hand by DKP as well. So
well, I believe it's going to be 1 Sisu and that one of Tamatoa as well, I want to say, are in the hand. Really trying to preserve the body of that Tamatoa. You need these popsicles to come along so you can turn on some of your resource engine. As we're looking at this board right now, another cool thing about this aerial is that it's one of the rare characters that can actually tank a Maui hit and survive. I mean, it's not a lot of characters in this game that can do that, staring down the hero to all.
Unfortunately, we play the Aerial Spectacular Singer and miss completely. Don't find any songs, pull 4 characters off the top.
Man, you know what? That never happens. Color me surprised. I'm shocked that an Aerial doesn't come out.
You've never seen that?
I've never seen that happen before in my life. I mean, that's crazy. Very rare that the Aerial Spectacular Singer does not find a song. You got one job, Aerial. Lock it in. Figure it out. Give me that song when I need it.
Yeah, come on, man. We're looking for it. And Along Came Zeus would be great right now. You don't want to exert this beast to have to challenge into these manors because this Maui is just waiting for something to be exerted to challenge back.
Right, any kind of damaged character, because you do have that Sonic Singer or Sonic Warrior aerial is set up, and she can trigger her ability to be able to finish off this Maui if you did have a Storm or if you did have a Strength or something along those lines. You just couldn't find it because aerial is going to let you down there. So you do have that Be Our Guest is going to be in hand, which is another card that you don't see played that often, and it's got 4 copies of that card in the deck too. Man, manners everywhere. Is it time to challenge? This is a very critical turn. Thinking here, and the Sonic Singer will go ahead and sing that "Be Our Guest, Be Our Guest, put our okay, I can't do it. We won't go through the whole thing. We'll stop it there. As the "Be Our Guest," as DKP got the rare and indigenous Grand Finals read. What do you think about that?
Read. He doesn't know what Be Our Guest does. It does allow Edmond to look at the top couple cards of the deck, choose a character, put it into his hand once it's revealed, and then if Ed wants to, we can pay 2 ink because we sang this song with the Aerial Sonic Warrior ability and deal 3 damage to it. It looks like that's what we are going to do here, putting that Maui at 4 damage, inking a Troubadour, and then we're going to sing Zeus onto the McDuck Manor as well, and then pay the additional 2 ink to banish the Maui.
Great turn coming in from Edmond Chu. He had it all along. I couldn't even see that along came Zeus as the
the Be Prepared hits with both McDuck Manors in play.
Off of the top deck. That was insane because he did not have that card. We saw the Sisu, but now this Namari is going to hit the field, and she does have a pretty sizable strength now. Now those Manors are very vulnerable as we got the check here. Seeing on what we want to draw and discard is going to be that Strength of Raging Fire. Not quite great in this situation. Will Namari be fast enough? We saw several copies of Pirate's Life go down to the Inkwell earlier. We see that Sisu is in hand. We see what else you got, the Tamatoy that you kind of been hanging on to as well. And now it's time to bring the grandma in. You need to see if you can get to a popsicle here. You cannot. It's that Tipo. It's that Brawl.
2 cards not particularly helpful at the moment. I think we're going to put the Brawl on the bottom. We're going to play a Tipo. Ramp a little. If that Damari doesn't have enough strength to banish one of the Manors, she must be close.
Yes, I think she's got to have it, especially after this one. So now you get the Rapunzel, who's going to be discarded here. Don't quite need that. You got a second Namari. So now Namari definitely should be sitting somewhere around 8 or 9, and you can develop the other Namari. We're going to play Storm, Rage On, and then clear that Tipo, who's representing a piece of lore as well, as DKP is getting close, and you just cannot get it done as the Manors are going to get it finished. As the Be Prepared was very strong. Brandon, I think that was one of the tales of the day as DKP gets it done with his strategy.
Yeah, one of the win conditions for this Ruby Sapphire deck for DKP is establishing those McDuck Manors. Be Prepared just says banish all characters. It doesn't say anything about locations. So once your opponent's trying to build up characters to challenge these McDuck Manors, you play that Be Prepared. The McDuck Manors stay around. The characters do not. So DKP was able to get that victory. We're at a 1-1 match right now between the two. Both still have 2 decks to win with before being crowned.
And Edmond Chu is going to be back on the play this time. I believe he's going to stick with his Amber and Steel strategy, or will he be changing? Or is he benching? What are you going to roll with? Because since he did lose, you're able to either stick with the same deck that you had, or you can bring in your secondary deck on the play, and now you don't have to worry about DKP's Ruby and Sapphire deck any longer. I believe he's going to stick with the Amber Steel, but I did see him reaching to the deck box.
Yeah, I think he's sticking with Amber Steel. It looks like DKP is going with Amethyst Steel, a broom variation of the deck, playing some Yin Sids and 8 copies of different brooms. We've seen him play this multiple times this weekend. And we've seen Amethyst Steel, an extremely strong deck, perform this weekend as well. Just doing a great job of being able to replace itself over and over. Might cause Amber Steel a little bit of trouble, because if DKP is able to just keep the pressure going over and over and over, it may be a little bit too difficult for Ed to keep up with, but we will have to see.
For sure. He does have access to the Giant Cobras as well. He has access to the Goats. He does have those songs. He does have Docks. This deck is quite consistent. If you can get those Yin Sids going in a timely manner, you do have the Brooms as well that can kind of tank some of the Storm Rage On stuff in the early game. You still have the Smee Bumbling Mate. So there's a way that you can kind of you have to stabilize this thing early, because Ed gets that steel removal going.
Oh, yeah.
You see those Namaris. You see all those songs. you're going to get blown out of this thing quick. So I like to see Pete, a good way to kind of get through this thing, even though Ed isn't playing. He's playing this very, very unique mid-range style version. No whole new worlds are going to be in the deck. So I think if you can get still, I think I'd have to lead on the Pete plan and try to go Pete repeat through this. What do you think is the best play for there, or best way to approach this matchup?
Yeah, DKP is playing for Pete Games Referee, and I absolutely agree. If you can get one Pete, then the next Pete, get up to 6 ink, you can use the Madam M Fox. DKP is also running 3 Madam M Snakes. You can just bounce these Petes and replaying them. You kind of undo a lot of what Amber Steel does the strongest, which is establish those singers and then utilize them to sing removal songs like Strength of a Raging Fire, like Let the Storm Rage On, that are going to deal damage to your lower cost characters that have lower willpower and keep you off of characters on board.
For sure. Edmond Chu's deck seems like a pure mid-range deck. He can get aggressive if needed, but I think he's really trying to push this thing into the middle and almost into the late game. So I think DKP has to maybe adjust his traditional strategy that he wants to do with this deck and maybe try to quest early and try to start racing and then close out maybe even off the top deck Snake, top deck Goat, not top deck Snake, but Snake with 1 card in hand to be able to discard, maybe dock into XXX, and then I think that might have to be the plan to play. So I wouldn't be shocked and surprised to see if DKP were to pull this off. It's going to be something that happens late. It's going to be a dramatic finish unless Ed can just slam the door early and pull away with this thing.
Something that I see in DKP's hand as well is we do have that we have a copy of Fire the Cannons, which could be good if Ed's trying to open up something like a Cinderella, a Ballroom Sensation, the formidable 1-drop singer that usually can sing Let the Storm Rage On turn 2, turn off a lot of your turn 1 plays.
For sure, and another 1-cost menace that Edmond Chu has access to is that 1/16th Wolf. If you can if you see that guy hit the field of play on turn number 1, you clear him immediately with that Fire the Cannons. I think that would be a fantastic 1-turn play coming in from DKP. Granted, it doesn't develop a character, it doesn't represent a lore, but having that guy get shifted, since resist has been resist, it has had an advantage against steal. So you want to keep that power hamster off the field as much as you can.
All right, it looks like players are finishing up their altars, trading decks. We're going to get into this game 3.
I want to see them all. I want to see them all. I want to see a great match.
We could go to 5 games. Absolutely.
I personally, I don't like to root for this player or that player, but I want to see the best possible game, the best possible scenario. I want it all to come down to the drama and all the decks being played as the Chernobog followers is going down into the Inkwell, followed up by the Magic Broom. We're playing with a little bit of speed and vigor this time as the Troubadour is developed as well.
Looks like Ed missed a 1-drop developing the Troubadour there. We're going to move back to DKP, going to his turn 2.
Got that Bumbling Mate in hand. You can play that dock, but I would not recommend it to Smees. I expect a Smee to come down here to be able to engage with this Troubadour. I don't think he can clear it, but he can at least put some fear and panic into the Troubadour's mental capacity there. He does have resist. You cannot clear.
Yeah, you got to be careful with the Troubadour in play. He is a singer 4, so can sing pretty much every removal song in Ed Chu's deck, which means that whatever we play this turn has potential to being banished. We're going to play out a Smee, Bumbling Mate for DKP, a 2-quest character.
And now DKP is running the numbers, see if it's time to pop and banish this Magic Broom here. And I think you almost kind of have to do that as well because you could potentially lose that on another action or another song coming off the deck for the North American champion. As Smee, Bumbling Mate, standing alone and unafraid. You do have that Power Hamster in hand already as Rapunzel will go down to the Inkwell. Let's see if Ariel can do her thing. And she does
find the Storm.
Time.
So, see, this is the difference. DKP knowing to get rid of this Broom. We found a Storm this turn. Troubadour could have sang it and banished the Magic Broom. DKP understanding the risk there and instead choosing to draw a card from it.
And we will go ahead and put that 2 damage on the Bumbling Mate. So now it's going to be on DKP to either quest and bounce this thing, or that is a pretty low tempo, but you don't have the bounce in your hand to be able to do it. As we'll send the Bumbling Mate to the Inkwell and play the game's referee. Pete is going to be up and active now. Now the decision to quest this Smee. Ooh, it's a tough one.
Pete will blow the whistle, say no actions on the next turn for Ed Chu.
And electing not to quest. I don't hate that at all. You will lose Smee, do his ability. He will take some damage, and you do get the Power Hamster up on 4. So this is rough. Is DKP, does he have access to the Long Came Zeus? And there is no Zeus in the deck.
No Long Came Zeus is in the deck for DKP here. Thinking about inking this Broom.
Yeah. This hamster is problematic. It can tank a lot of the steel removal that you have access to. Resist too is no slouch. And also, you saw your opponent put a Rapunzel down to the Inkwell. Maybe there's some psychology there, because if you do put damage on this power hamster, he will lose his ability. However, if you heal him with Rapunzel, it will return.
DKP having access to that Strength of a Raging Fire, using Pete to sing it and banish this aerial, so Ed is off of one of his singers.
And there is another storm to be able to finish off. I believe the Smee is going to be banished there, but you get into the Zeus, and the Hamster can sing the Zeus. You still have all of your ink available. That is a lot of resources that you use this turn, and you're able to develop the Sad Beast, as he's collectively called in the community, Beast Tragic Hero. Very powerful card for a long time.
Very powerful card. Needs to be damaged if you don't want Ed drawing an extra card on every turn, though when he is damaged, he gains 4 strength on your turn.
I like to think he's not sad. I like to think he's just seeing something that's making him beautiful. He's just watching.
He's watching the riders, I think, come at his
For sure.
thing.
He needs to be in the World Championship, and I guarantee he won't be sad. If you're sitting out here, if you're locked in on Twitch right now, again, thank you all for being here. This is the World Championship. You won't be so sad if you're in the community right now. As we have the Power Hamster, who is getting a little inspection there. You can clear now. It will cost you a mighty toll to do so.
We're going to use Fire the Cannons.
That's a no.
No. Oh no, Rhino has resist +2.
Oh no.
So when you use the Fire the Cannons, it doesn't deal any damage to Rhino.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Oh no.
What is a judge? If these are tactile things, this is the grand finals. I'd be interested. He did pay the ink. He did play the card.
He paid the ink and he showed the card.
That's tough. That's tough.
Is he forced to go through with it?
That's tough. I mean, this is going to go up to the judges, but that is interesting. We cannot quite hear the players, Brandon, but we can just only go by body language and what we can see on the screen. Again, huge shout out to the judges. They are watching in all this. They're in the ears of the players. They're going to make this decision. But it appeared, it looked as if, again, this is just me wildly speculating. I can't hear the players again, but it looked like the Fire the Cannons was played on the Hamster and then the challenge.
I think DKP thought that there was only resist +1. He wanted to damage the Hamster and challenge with the Pete, but Rhino has resist +2, I believe.
Yeah, and that is just something that you're gonna have to think about. But you got to lock in short-term memory. You got to let that go, as that second cannon had to be utilized here in order to get rid of that Power Hamster. You could have put 2 damage onto that beast and stopped him from drawing. So that is brutality incarnate. You got to shake it off. Short-term memory. There's a huge tournament left.
Yeah, DKP's got to shake off that mistake real quick, lock back into the game, having to rearrange some of the order of that, challenging with the Pete, and then using the cannons first instead.
Brutal, brutal, brutal. So we do get another trigger off of that Beast Tragic Hero. We're looking at the Be Our Guest along with the Strength of the Raging Fire and another Hamster. So you can potentially get rid of the Chernobog followers and then establish another. We're gonna go Be Our Guest instead.
Look at the top 4 cards, pick a character, reveal it, and put it into our hand. We've got Namari, Rapunzel, and Rhino, I believe.
And it is going to be that Namari is going to be added to the hand. Man.
Currently 5 cards in the discard, 6 cards in the discard now.
And DKP has just seen enough, and he's going to go ahead and scoop this thing up and get on into the next game. And wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, that's going to be something that people are going to talk about for a little bit of time. But again, this is the grand finals. These players have been playing all weekend long, and the intensity, I can only imagine the panic and the lines you go through so often, and that's just one of those things. You got to play it. The judges are there. They're watching this thing like a hawk. And you got to make every move exactly correct. Inch or a mile. Inch or a mile. We talked about focus earlier, and that's one of those things. There was a temporary lapse, and it does happen that way. But we're going to shake that off. This is still the grand final. It is not over. There's a long way to go.
Not over. Not over. DKP still needs to win with 2 of his decks if he wants to make it as the champion. Ed has taken down 2, and you can't write this. Yeah. But Ed has to win on Ruby Sapphire against DKP if he wants to be the first ever Disney Lorcana World Champion. How do you feel about that, Vinny?
Oh, man, the dedication. Look at his eyes. He can almost feel it. You're so close. You're 1 win away. But you have some pretty tough matchups coming your way. You're going to be on the draw versus, I can only assume DKP is going to bring this Amber and Emerald deck. If he's not, I would be very surprised, as this deck on the play can be so fast, and this Ruby Sapphire deck can be so slow. So I think you have to play it, and this is going to be a very, very tough uphill climb.
And we'll see in just a second what DKP decides to do. Again, he can change decks in between matches like this if he wants to. So being on the play on this round means that he might have an advantage of playing his more aggressive list, and it does look like he's going to be playing his Amber Emerald deck, which, as you mentioned, JD, is a very fast deck, playing lots of aggressive cards like Daisy Duck, Curse Merfolk, has the Blues as well for Bodyguard, just trying to get out there and finish the game quickly.
For sure. And the thing I like about this Edmond Chu Ruby Sapphire deck is that there are 0, count them, 0 songs in this deck. I believe that there is an Ursula Deceiver in the deck.
Yes, there's 4 Ursula Deceivers.
So that Ursula Deceiver may as well just be ink, going right into the inkwell almost immediately, because she won't be doing very much in this deck, as there are 4 ofs in all these decks except for the Maurice's Workshop and the Lucky Dime. Also, DKP got all 4s in his deck as well.
All 4s on the Amber Emerald deck. These are just clean lists, people.
That's what it is. Make them optimal, make them consistent, make them good, and leave it all up to And look at that Baloo. Daisy, hand is very aggressive. Hera is in the deck just for her ward keyword.
For the ward keyword, yeah. DKP could set up like turn 1, 1 cost, turn 2, 2 1 cost, just running out the gate. We see Ed staring down DKP, watching his altar, seeing if he can get any information before Ed does his. Now Ed doing his altar. It looks like we do have the ramp through Tipo there. Had some brawls also in hand. I think we're just altering 2 cards.
That is actually, I saw some cards in DKP's hand. This thing can get explosive. It's a lot of 1-cost characters, and a lot of them quest for 2. There aren't that many characters in this game that can quest for 2, but guess what? A vast majority, if not all of them, are in this color combination that DKP has, and I believe they're all in the deck at max copy. So there you go. Except for the harp. I don't think he's playing harp. Shout out to the harp game out there.
All right, we're getting into game 4 of the Disney Lorcana World Championship. Ed could take this home, or DKP could come fighting back.
As we will get that Pegasus out, and there is that Daisy Duck. I think Daisy Duck is great in this matchup because her ability will not trigger that often, as Popsicle will start us off. We will pop the Popsicle into the bell, which is a good way to kind of fight back in this situation. We have 2, we got the double Cursed Merfolk as well with another Daisy Duck. This can be explosive. Double 1 cost here.
A double 1 cost opener on an aggressive deck like this can be difficult to deal with.
And the Workshop's gone.
Workshop to the bottom, a crucial card in these Ruby Sapphire item deck lists.
You need it. And the Tipo, you might have to go with this Tipo. You might have to lead Tipo to help engage in combat, to use Tipo and Bell to potentially clear these Daisy Ducks if DKP continues to exert. Checking the hand, there's another Cursed Merfolk and a Piglet available. So Piglet Merfolk next turn seems problematic for the North American Continental Champion.
Yeah, if you're playing multiple characters a turn, Ruby Sapphire, especially early on, has difficulty dealing with more than 1 character a turn. Of course, you can use something like Brawl on a character, but at some point, DKP is just accruing so much lore on each character, he might can end the game before we reach that critical moment in Ruby Sapphire where you get to the mid-game, late game, where you can play some of those board wipes.
And that's another thing about that Cursed Merfolk as well, too, is that even if he does exert and does challenge, you're going to take another card from your hand. And you saw that Maurice's Workshop go down into the bottom of the deck. That's 1 of your 3. You're not playing a full 4, so there's a good chance you may not see it. You could potentially run out of resources while your opponent is questing so aggressively. Look at this board. Look at this lore burst. That's a lot. You do get to the Sisu.
Oh, he does find the Sisu to put in hand.
Hold up. Is there a Sisu line? Where is the small Sisu? We need the Sisu Daring Visitor as another Daisy Duck. Yeah, this game might just be over.
There's so much lore on board right now. Currently 11 lore, I believe, sitting on board for DKP if everything survives. Of course, this Daisy, I'm sure, is not going to survive the turn, having 3 damage on it.
Yeah, I think you might have to take a whole turn off to get this brawl going, which feels quite terrible. Let's see if you could, maybe there's a world where you can sail double ramp. I think that's the line that you have to get to the Sisu. If you can get to the Sisu in time, that's the way. I think if you can, but I just don't see the lines of play available to the North American. I could be missing something. I'm sure we're getting annihilated in the chat right now. Shout out to everyone out there watching at home, but I'm certain there's a line you can get to, but Edmond Chu just doesn't. He got the sail. I'm definitely sailing here, right?
We have a sail, but I think we played a Popsicle first, so now we can't sail and then double ink and then Brawl or Sisu this turn. But we are going to choose to sail anyway, draw a card, and we can ink twice for the turn.
Yeah, so we do have...
Which is a little difficult because, like you mentioned, this Cursed Merfolk, we need to challenge it, get it off the board, but it's going to force us to discard a card when we do. So if we're inking 2 cards per turn and then discarding a card, that's 3 cards out of our hand.
Yeah, I think you might have to be leaning on this Vitalosphere. Maybe you can base boost someone. You can power up that Bell and then clear the Daisy.
Yeah,
then
there we
go
go.
into the Daisy, and that'll slow him down a little bit. But this is still a situation. You're not out of the woods yet. As Tipo is thinking about who he wants to challenge and banish, it is going to be that Daisy Duck. We will get rid of that lore, and then we'll take the Popsicle. Bell's going to take a little light afternoon snack and get back up to full health.
DKP, as we go to his turn, only 2 cards in here right now. Another Cursed Merfolk and a Lilo that we're going to see played. And he's just going to turn everything sideways, gaining 7 lore for the turn, pushing himself really close to 20, up to 15 it looks like.
Yeah.
Presenting game on board if Ed can't deal with 3 of these characters at least.
And it is going to be the Tipo, and there's really no way to get this Sisu into the field of play at all. We're going to continue to just check, because you just never know. It's going to be a lot of coils, a lot of bells, and there is another Tipo workshop, and I just think this one might be a GG.
Might be over for Ed here. We don't have a lot of resources in hand, don't have a lot of ink to deal with all the characters on board. We only have 2. Can we get rid of 3 characters? We do have a Brawl we can use on something. We can challenge and banish the Merfolk with a Tipo. We can challenge and banish the Piglet with the Bell here.
Yeah. There, you do have Brawl? Okay.
And we do have Brawl in hand that we can do on something else, so we can survive the turn.
You got to clear the Piglet, of course. He's gone. He's public enemy #1. You got to get through the Cursed Merfolk. And then you got the Brawl. So there will be another turn kicking the extra Sapphire Coil down to the discard pile. We'll play Brawl, probably going after this Cursed Merfolk, I would assume.
Keep cards in hand.
And also, if that Daisy does quest, it will give you another card. Does he have the Donald Duck? Is there a Donald Duck
sighting? Is there a
sighting?
ward character that gets played this turn? Maybe it's too expensive. Are we just looking at the Donald? Oh, Vitalosphere to the bottom.
And there he is.
And it is. It's a Ward Prince Phillip.
Wow.
That's just going to be game. DKP wins game 4. We're going to a game 5 for the grand final.
It's happening, B-Square. This is what we wanted. That is the end of the Amber and Emerald. And it all comes down to this Ruby Sapphire.
It almost... Sorry, I didn't mean to drop there.
No, do it.
As Tiana would say, we are almost there. We have the Ruby Sapphire versus Amethyst Steel last game, game 5 in the grand finals. I want to see hype in chat. I want to see hype in the room for these players. And let's go.
I wish you guys, I mean, if you can hear all the people out there clapping, the energy is lively. It is just an absolute blast to see what's happening here, and you couldn't have wrote a better script. You have the best players pushing it to the limit, trying to see who is going to be the master of all of the inks, and you have to figure out a way to get through this thing with Ruby and Sapphire versus Amethyst and Steel, and that's brooms versus items. Wow.
Brooms versus items. This is also a color matchup that we've seen multiple times today in critical matches for these players moving on to this. You know, Ruby Sapphire doing the item thing, trying to ramp, get to those, be prepared, the Sisus, the things you're using to wipe the board. Amethyst Steel, a decent deck into this, being able to bounce characters back to your hand, sort of build a board state that never feels great for the Ruby Sapphire player to clear, but if that Ruby Sapphire player can build up enough items and play, drop a Tamatoa so shiny, find that lucky dime, all it takes is 1 turn.
And I do love the composure from DKP. After that Amethyst and Steel game, he was able to just take a couple of deep breaths, recompose, get back on the play, stick to the plan, and then just hit the gas pedal and just accelerate through that matchup. You are heavily favored. Ed staring down DKP. He is unfazed, unfettered. DKP just getting a nice little shuffle in, blue sleeves, blue gloves, can't lose.
Blue sleeves, blue gloves.
Can't lose, man. I love it. Oh man, I'm getting sweaty again.
I'm excited, dude.
I'm
you ready?
sweating again.
This is it. This is what the whole weekend has come to. The very last game of the weekend. We made it to a game 5 for the grand finals. You couldn't have written this better.
Not even the weekend, B-Square. We're talking 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the making. This game has just taken the world by storm. This is what the visionary of the people who brought us this beautiful game and all of the DLCs and all of the tournaments, all the set champs, and everything is going to culminate to this particular moment. Two of our game's greatest players are locked into the dojo right now for an all-important game number 5. So if you're not ready, you need to get ready. If you're not locked in, put your popcorn down, open your eyeballs, get onto your Twitch or your fridge or whatever you're watching this thing on, and let's get focused, because this is the World Championship. This is the Grand Finals. What more could you ask for?
11 challenges, 2 national championships, all leading up to this. Thousands of players just for this moment. We are moments away from crowning a Disney Lorcana Challenge World Champion as we look at the World Championship card here, the trophy that these players are playing for.
Beautiful. World champion. And I know for a fact, everybody wants the Mickey, everyone wants a trophy, everybody wants the accolade and the channels. I get that. But these players, I know both of them quite well. They want the glory. It's about the title. It's about the legacy. We'll be talking about this forever. This is the first ever Disney Lorcana World Champion. That title is very important.
All right, as we start with DKP finding that broom on turn 1, Ed not playing anything on turn 1, but finding his Sail the Azurite Sea on turn 2, finding that turn 2 ramp that we talk about. Inking Automatoa is so shiny as well. We move over to DKP's turn as well. We've got that Yin Sid in hand. Looks like
probably trying to save that Yin Sid for a little bit of broom activity, as Yin Sid is going to hit the field of play, able to draw 1 card and a nice little quest in for 1 with the magic broom. Yin Sid staring down to nothing on the other side of the board. Yin Sid, if you don't know, when you play this character, if you have a character named Magic Broom in play, you get to draw a card. This card came out, and I want more brooms. I need more brooms. They just stopped giving us brooms. Give us some more brooms, for crying out loud.
Who would have thought, JD, that a year ago brooms would be in the finals of the World Championship? I just have to take a second and just talk about that.
Shout out to the broom community. Okay, the broom people, they love them some brooms, and they've been sticking with it, and now here it is. They're back. And it's kind of like it's a deck that's kind of social.
Oh, okay, so we do find the second broom here from DKP, which means Yin Sid is going to get that extra lore. In quest for 3, we're going to jump up to 5 lore, or sorry, excuse me, 5 lore, because we quested last turn with the broom. Playing a Smee after that.
Imagine the bounce there, coming back to recover this Yin Sid, but this board is beginning to expand as Edmond Chu's hand is looking rather slow. You do have that brawl, you do have that sail, you have a vision of the future. Tamatoa no items has been the story of this finals as well. Tamatoa has not received his due diligence of grabbing an item from the discard pile this entire time, as we're going to check, knowing there's no be prepared as well in Edmond's deck. I think that's something that that DKP is going to take full advantage of.
Oh, absolutely. These players are top tier. They looked at each other's deck lists before the tournament. They looked at it before they sat down. They each know what both are working with. And Ed is just taking a minute to figure out what else he wants to do with this turn. We spent 2 ink to play a sail, so we can still ink twice, trying to ramp up. We're going to ink a Vitalosphere, play a brawl on this broom. Then we're going to challenge the other broom with the Scrooge McDuck here.
Electing not to challenge and banish that Yin Sid, probably not afraid of him too much. The brooms were the real problem, as triple goat is the hand. Man. 1 is on the field of play now, as that is representing an additional 2 lore. If you can get all of those goats to hit the field of play and resolve. Keep in mind, Edmond Chu is not playing any Pirate's Life. There is the first of Popsicle. We got 3 ink looking. Wait, hold, no, we're not going to play it. 3 ink, is that the workshop turn? There is the workshop. It is established. Now you have the Popsicle. It is in the field of play, drawing cards, triggering the workshop, get another card in. So this might be where Ed can start gathering those resources, turning this corner.
Yeah, Ed has to turn the corner here. Like you mentioned, the 3 goats in hand are providing 6 lore total, basically. That's what Amethyst Steel is so good at doing, not to even mention the giant cobras that we know he's hanging on to. The name of this game for DKP is get as close to 20 as you can, close out with those instant lore gainers that like Merlin Goat, like Giant Cobra as well. And Ed is going to have to find a way to stabilize before he gets too close, as you mentioned, not playing any Pirate's Life to bring him back down.
Yeah, and this is just looking really good for DKP. Ed is going to have to figure out a way to launch this thing into the end game. You have that Sisu, but again, in this matchup right now with no Sapphire Coils established, Sisu isn't even that great. You can clear the Yin Sid, but Yin Sid isn't the threat, as we got a nice quest in for 2, and another goat comes down. Oh, man. Oh, man.
Lore when it enters play.
There he is. So now you have a total of 3. That's a 5 on board right now, getting up to 17.
Yeah, 5 on board. We're up to 12 already. This is going quick. We're not even an hour into this. into this grand final.
There is the bell as well. So you did pop to heal just to clear that SME, and now you cannot play this bell unless you want to pop your Maurice's workshop. Are we there yet? You can bring out this Tamatoa, happy as a clam, get back that popsicle, but then you will have to take an entire turn off, cycle another card, and that just might be too slow. Oh, man. You can cut the tension with a knife. Ed Chu is going to go ahead and make that Tamatoa play here, get back to the popsicle, and you might have to ink and play the popsicle and then establish this bell right now. I think you can't even you can't even afford to do the workshop play.
Yeah, Ed just looking for the resources he needs to find stabilization. Another thing, you know, these goats we talked about, Ed's not playing any Be Prepared. It's only playing the Sisus for board wipes. These goats with 4 strength means that they won't be wiped by something like a Sisu, but we are going to see the Scrooge McDuck challenge and banish the goat. We're also going to develop that bell, as you mentioned, JD, banishing the popsicle.
Oh, there's bounce. There's a Merlin Fox, or excuse me, Madam M Foxes in hand, along with the dock and another goat. That is a problem for the North American champion as we get a nice quest for 2 in now. DKP gets all the way up to 13, running through those lines of play. You're still hard stuck at 4 ink, and another goat hits the field of play. That is another representing basically 2 lore every time those goats quest. That is an additional lore you're adding to. You're sitting at 16 now.
DKP dangerously close to 20. This could be it, folks. He has the bounce in hand. He has some goats. We haven't seen any giant cobras. Ed is going to really need some help if he wants to come back from this game.
This is looking problematic for the North American Continental Champion. DKP has to be feeling extremely confident. You don't have the ink available. You don't have any of Pirate's Lives in your deck. You have no Be Prepared. It might be it. This could be the end of the Lorcana Championship right now.
On this turn, we can get rid of the Cid and the goat. The goat would push us up to 17. We have 1 goat in play. Questing would go to 18. Banishing would go to 19. If we can bounce it, though, with what's in our hand, that means we can keep it safe. Maybe replay it on the next turn.
Yeah, and Ed has to understand that there hasn't been any bounce being played just yet. That is an option. We got to clear. You got to still clear. You got to take down the goat. It is unfortunate, but it's something that you must do. If you can clear both of these goats now, some way, somehow, I don't see the way to do that. Ed is also a magician. Can you get it done? We're checking, rechecking. You hate to miss something that was very obvious in this high-press situation. It's taking a little bit of time. These rounds are untimed. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, Ed taking his time to just thinking through every scenario, choosing to ink, playing the Tamatoa, pulling back a popsicle. We're going to go ahead and banish the goat with the Tamatoa, happy as a clam, banish the Cid with Bell here, and we pass to DKP. Let's see who he has. Oh, he finds the giant cobra.
That's game.
He's going to play it. That's game. DKP has done it. He has found his way, gone the distance. He is your first ever Disney Lorcana World Champion.
And look at that. He finally breaks down the emotion. He wanted this so bad, and I feel so good for DKP as the energy is in the room, is electric. He has got it done. The first ever Disney Lorcana World Champion is going to be Din Kong Pham, one of the most consistent players in all of Disney Lorcana. You see him with his friend group of team players, and they are celebrating, bouncing. The jubilance is ecstatic. Oh my goodness, that must feel so good.
What a grand finals, going to a best of 5, playing through Amethyst, Steel, Amber, Emerald, and Ruby Sapphire for DKP.
Really rallying too. There were some high moments, there were some low moments, but he composed himself. He locked back in, got focused, and got it done. And look at that, man. I cannot imagine how that must feel. But again, taking nothing away from Edmond Chu, phenomenal player.
Oh, absolutely.
Phenomenal player. I cannot say anything bad about Edmond Chu. He's one of my good friends. I've gotten